Thanks again for joining us for Close Calls with California Poison Control System. I'm Dr. Race Vora, Medical Director with the Fresno Madera Division of California Poison Control, joined by my co-host.
I'm Dr. Cyrus Rankin, Assistant Medical Director, California Poison Control System.
Our featured expert today is Dr. Tamer Durrani. Dr. Durrani is an attending physician with the San Francisco Division of California Poison Control, and he's an expert specialist in environmental and occupational health. Thanks for joining us today, Tamer.
Sure. Thanks for having me. Nice to see you.
The topic that we wanted to do a deep dive on is fumigants and pesticides. And I think people will be surprised to learn just what a variety of chemicals there are and how universally they're used in various different locations and environments. Can you kind of define what fumigants are and why they're so useful?
Eradicate, let's say, things that are considered as pests, let's say either in food or in the home or environment. And so,
Great. And some of the examples that we were able to find of fumigants and the kinds of things that we hear about on our poison control hotline include things that are used around the house, like those bug bombs, things like that. But then there's also other ways that these fumigants get used. And so I'd really want to spend a little bit of time talking about the different kind of poisoning hazards that these things can pose. So can you walk us through some of the images that we're looking at and how these are used, but also what sort of like safety precautions people need to be mindful
see
of?
if someone can address what's in their home without having to use a chemical. If they have to use a chemical, then what we tell them to do is to follow the instructions, but also try and minimize any of their exposure. And so, if they're going to have to use this, try and use it in a way where they're having minimal contact with this. Or you'll see professional applicators who will come out to the home and use some chemicals. And sometimes you'll see a home with a tent over it, all with the idea of trying to kill things that may live in the home, like bugs and things like that.
One thing that we also know is that, people may be using these as products in their home, and obviously they should be following those directions and using them appropriately. But we also sometimes bring in professional services to do fumigation or pesticide control or pest control with pesticides in our homes. What can you tell us a little bit about the differences in the potency and the toxicity that might result from exposure to those kinds of products, especially to the workers who are applying them?
Sure. So we professionals who apply these kind of things in California, we call them professional pesticide applicators. They're generally trained. They have to take tests and keep up their certification to apply these things. They learn how to apply them in a way that they would have both be in the environment where they're getting exposed, or they wear certain equipment to protect themselves. And so what you see here is somebody who's having to apply one of these chemicals out in the environment. And so you can see that they're wearing some versions of protective equipment. But it's not just the protective equipment that we will have them rely on, but also say, hey, look, is there other things we can do administratively or have them removed from the environment as soon as they apply this so they can have minimal exposure?
Now, after these chemicals are applied in a home, especially by a professional, they'll usually let a certain amount of time pass, and then they'll let members of the household know that they can re-enter. People still may have a little bit of fear or a little bit of anxiety about that, especially if maybe they have small children and worried about possible residual that may be still in the home that their children could be exposed to. What can we say to people who may have those concerns?
Thanks. That's a great question. We get this question a lot. And so what we will normally tell people is the professionals will generally explain to them that there's a period of time that needs to occur before these chemicals will leave the environment. And so we will often tell people to follow that. Now, some people will say, well, I want to wait an extra day or two. And we say there's no harm in doing that. And if you want to wait even longer. And usually they're given instructions of things like, well, the professional will go and make sure the doors are open, and sometimes they'll even test before somebody can re-enter. And so we tell them to follow the professional's advice with regards to re-entering.
It's great. It's good to know.
Good to know that there's a lot of rules and regulations within the state of California to help keep workers safe whenever they're working with these chemicals, but also to keep the general public safe in terms of making sure that we minimize exposure to the general public around these different hazards. Are there any sort of key points or safety tips that we should share just with everyone that's listening about how to stay safe around fumigants and pesticides?
Follow the directions that come with them, and they generally will say things like try and avoid contact, things like that. If you do come in contact with these or have any concerns, you can always call us at Poison Control. We're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then the last one is, if you have one of these chemicals and you want to try and dispose of it, there's a way to dispose of it safely. And that's through, in any county in California has a hazardous waste disposal program. And so you can generally go online or call your county and find out where you can dispose of these chemicals.
Great. Good to know. And viewers can always call our toll-free hotline at 1-800-222-1222, like Dr. Durrani said, for any questions related to fumigations, pesticides, anything that's bothering them in their environment, or any questions that they have about chemicals that they may be coming across in their lives. We're here for you. We're here ready to answer your questions. And we want everyone to stay safe working with these chemicals. Thank you so much, Dr. Durrani and Dr. Rangan, for another session, and I really hope you guys have a great day.
Thanks a lot. Nice to see you.